and you're advocating for Disney to do more inclusive work.
No, you're missing the point.
You can't do both.
You're missing the point. When the movie is called...
I think I do. I agree with you.
It's not DEI to think the dwarves should play dwarves.
No, I think dwarf actors should have been in the film. I agree with you on that.
It's authenticity. It has nothing to do with DEI.
Nothing to
has
do
nothing
with
to do with merit
whatsoever.
But it is, though.
Ironically,
what
is if it's DEI? What is inclusive about excluding dwarf actors from the roles?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we're going to take a look at one of the recent Piers Morgan episodes where they discuss the horrible flop that will be the Snow White movie. We got Nerdrotic, Esther Kraku, Piers Morgan, Critical Drinker, and the token gay guy. Let's get it.
To all of you. All right, let me start with you, Nerdrotic, on this. Where did it all go so catastrophically wrong? Was it Rachel Ziegler, appointing one of the wokest actresses in history? Was that the catalyst for all this? Or was it virtue signaling gone mad? What do you put your finger on?
I think it was. I mean, we can start out with the creative bankruptcy of remaking another animated classic instead of making something new. But yes, it's all Rachel Ziegler and her behavior. And if it was just one comment, it probably would have been forgotten by now. But it was comment after comment, and it was pissing off everybody, pissing off old Disney fans, pissing off new Disney fans, pissing off Trump supporters, pissing off all of America. And it became such a disaster that they had to shut her up, which was the smartest move they made. But the onus is all on her and Disney's reaction to it. And quite frankly, if she has said nothing, her movie, probably still forgettable, would have done a lot better.
Critical Drinker, I mean, it's even down to the fact that Rachel Ziegler and is it Ziegler or Ziegler, by the way?
I think it's Ziegler.
Ziegler, I think is how you pronounce it.
It's Ziegler, right. Yeah. Let's just clarify that. The battle between her and Gal Gadot, right, is that they take diametrically different views even on things like the Israel-Hamas war. Ziegler publicly supporting Palestine. Gal Gadot served in the IDF and wrote, "I stand with Israel, you should too, the world can't stand on the fence," so on. So here are the two stars of the movie, even diametrically opposed in a very polarizing manner over a big war that's raging.
Sure, it feels like every aspect of this movie just seems to breed controversy, and yet that's just another aspect of it. By all accounts, they do not get on particularly well. I think you could tell that from their body language when they were presenting an Oscar together. They just could not have disliked each other more. So yeah, it's just another nail in the coffin of this movie, unfortunately.
Ernest, you've seen it, so what do you think? Don't tell me, you loved it.
I loved it, it was incredible.
Of course.
I think that Rachel, well, you can say of course, but you haven't seen it, so you might agree with me.
I've read some of the previews of people who have.
She's vocally
been killing it.
She's vocally talented. She's crushing it. A lot of people saw first previews, and movie critics are already saying great things about her performance. She's whimsical, she's funny, she's lighthearted, and it's a great film. And I also think Gal Gadot plays the evil witch very, very well. And so I think they both were perfectly cast for the film, and I think that it's going to be a great film that's going to get over $100 million in the global box office.
Which is great, because they only spent
haters are going to hate.
Well, actually, hang on, they spent nearly $300 million, so that would be a catastrophic failure. You realise that, Ernest?
Actually, 350.
I mean, look, I think that...
Ernest, you think it would be a success if it grossed $100 million, having cost $350 million to make? Is that your position?
I'm talking about opening weekend. We saw this with the Lion King remake. Everybody was acting like it was gonna flop, but I think it's gonna be a slow burner. I think it's gonna do the same thing that the Lion King did. Not equally, but I do think there's gonna be a buildup, and I think that the performances speak for themselves.
Well, in as much as Rachel Ziegler tap dances on my last good nerve, she is a talented singer. However, that was not what this film was about. There are many talented singers in Hollywood. Snow White shouldn't have been the shade of Snow Latte, first of all. I think the casting was probably the biggest thing. Barring the fact that even if she'd kept her mouth shut, which she should have, because there was a lot of money riding on this, the casting was off. I love Gal Gadot, but she's not a very emotive actress. And I don't think... there are limits to how far I can stretch my imagination to believe that someone who looks like Gal Gadot would be jealous of the appearance of someone like Rachel Ziegler.
But isn't the problem that every time... You say it's not about whether she opened her mouth or not. Isn't the problem that literally every time she opened her little woke mouth, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
She called the prince basically a stalker. She then hammered Israel. She then told Trump supporters she didn't need their business. Imagine being a Disney executive and you hear the star of your new Snow White remake alienating more than half the country. The Republicans just won a big win, right? Alienate them all in one fell swoop.
Yeah, the smartest thing they did, as Gary said, was to try and bury her and just
hang on, Ernest.
Hang
on, critical drinkers talking.
Yeah, the smartest thing, as Gary said, that Disney could have done was to bury her and just keep her from talking to anyone. Do not give her a hot mic and do not let her spout her stupid, uninformed opinions. She's a kid. Okay. She's a dumb, uninformed kid who's never done a day's work in her entire life. And of course, she has an opinion on everything. That doesn't mean we have to
It's not about being a woman. She couldn't point to Israel on a map. The fact that someone like Gal Gadot, who's actually had a career, had to sit next to this spouting munchkin, or someone who actually has a career, who I'm pretty sure the hardest role in her life was pretending to be jealous of the looks of Rachel Zegler. And this is not to take away from the fact that she is a talented singer. Who has the Golden Globe, though? Hold on, Rachel Zegler is very talented. By the way, she's not even
white, is she? I mean, isn't that the other problem?
I'm not even going to get into that. We know she's Snow Latte.
The original description of Snow White's skin in the book is as white as snow.
Yeah.
Lips as red as blood, hair as black as ebony. Couldn't be clearer.
They missed the mark there. They should have casted me.
Nerdrotic, should we care that she wasn't as white as snow?
As somebody who's a fan of old Disney, pre-woke Disney, 90s, early aughts, 80s, some of the greatest movies, like cartoon-wise. I was born in the late 80s when Lion King was good. Even the kids in our family, I still show them the original Mulan cartoon, Bambi, the Frozen movies, Toy Stories. The Toy Story movies were great. Even their live-action films. Remember the Titans is a great Disney film. Pirates of the Caribbean. They have such a great library. For them to turn into what they've turned into today is quite sad, in my opinion. Seriously, how good are the original Toy Story movies? You can show those to any kid of any generation, and they're great. And same for the Lion King. I don't think it's sad what they've turned into. Let's get back to it.
A fairy tale.
Well, people have eyes.
Well, that's for Nerdrotic.
Oh, that's sorry. Apologies, Piers. I think it does matter because it is, if you want to remake a Disney, I mean, there are tens of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 remakes of Snow White or adaptions of the story. But if you're remaking the Disney classic that started the company, I would think you wanted to make it as close as possible to the original, including the dwarves and including the main character, Snow White.
Well, we're going to come to the dwarf part, which is just beyond parody, to be honest with you. But Ernest, the British Board of Film Classification has put trigger warnings on here to say a woman is deliberately poisoned and a girl is surrounded by ominous trees. Can I ask you, I've never understood who these trigger warnings are aimed at. Who could be that pathetically spineless and lily-livered and weak and snowflakey that they need to be warned that in a animated movie they're going to have, well, it's not fully animated, it has animated in it, that in this you might get things which might be a little unsettling. Are you the guy that they're doing this for?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I don't live in Britain, but I do think it's interesting that there's a lot of critique around censorship. You all are supposed to be the bastions of free speech and expressions, and you all are turning over snowflakes because Rachel Zegler said a couple of different things that don't ruffle your feathers politically. I think you all are the council culture crew. Maybe you all should be, co-authors of my book, since you all seem to agree about
I've got
how
no problem
problematic
with, listen,
and how
clear,
and ominous.
I have no problem with Rachel Zegler spouting
off. If she was a
off.
Trumper, you would agree.
Listen, I've got no problem
you would
with her
agree. If she was a Trumper, you wouldn't be having this conversation.
I respect her right to spout any nonsense she likes. Doesn't mean to say that we can't criticize her for it. She can say it.
No, but you said she should be silenced. That
she
Disney
should be
shut her up.
silenced.
That's what you said.
No, I said if you're Disney,
right, you said she should be silenced.
If you're
Disney,
if you're Disney, Ernest, you want her to shut up and stop trashing the movie.
She shouldn't have taken the role if she was going to jeopardize $350 million.
Hang on, critical drinker.
Yeah, can we look at this from a business perspective, right? Ultimately, Rachel Zegler is there as a representative of the Disney company. She's there to sell a product. In this case, the product is Snow White the movie. Now, the best way to sell a product is to appeal to as many people as possible. And if you straight up say that 50% of your audience can get fucked, then you're not really appealing to a wide audience, are you?
It's just bad business. Let's bring in somebody who has seen it.
But you're proving my point, though.
Hang on.
There's a double standard.
There's no double standard. Everyone should keep their mouth shut. Everyone should keep their mouth shut.
On the opposite end, you wouldn't consider the other 50% of Americans.
Hold on. No. Everyone should keep their mouth shut. Snow White should be beautiful. She should turn up on set. Her skin should be white as snow. And she shouldn't... What's next? A bald Rapunzel. It's not hard to do this properly. A beautiful singing actress who keeps her mouth shut unless she's talking about the film and how great it is. So she doesn't tank $350 million. It's not hard.
Guys, stop it right here if you don't mind just smashing that thumbs up button for your boy. That goes a long way to help me out. And also, if this is not your first time here and you're not yet subscribed, hopefully this could be the video that I earn your subscription. Let's get back to it.
I'm happy to see that.
What's that?
I'm saying I'm happy to see that you're an advocate for DEI. It's refreshing.
In what sense?
Well, I mean, you know, it's interesting because so much of the show in the past and just these narratives lately have been about cutting jobs and being efficient. And you're advocating for Disney to do more inclusive work.
No, you're missing the point.
You can't do both.
You're missing the point. When the movie is called...
I think I do. I agree. With
it's
you.
not DEI to think the dwarves should play dwarves.
No,
I think dwarf actors should have been in the film. I agree with you on that.
It's authenticity. It has nothing to do with DEI.
Nothing
DEI
to
has
do
nothing
with it whatsoever.
But it is, though.
Ironically,
what
is okay? If it's DEI, what is inclusive about excluding dwarf actors from the roles?
No, I'm saying. I mean, I agree with you. I think that there should have been dwarf representation.
Yeah, but you don't think that a white woman should have played Snow White, which is interesting.
Pierce, we've had this conversation for a while about historical films, and you said, could you play Nelson Mandela as a white guy?
Yeah.
And I told you, I don't think so.
No.
And you were very much like, well, you thought it was important about the accuracy about that. And now you're saying a fictional character like Snow White, I guess, can't be played by a Latino woman because a fairy tale narrative, I guess Brandy shouldn't play Cinderella because Cinderella was white.
Snow White had skin white as snow. Hold on, I'm sorry. I don't understand the limits of your advocacy. Snow White was called Snow White because her skin was as white as snow. I don't understand the logic of having a beige lady play Snow White when there are perfectly available white actresses that could play that.
Way Jesus just like
Ryan Gosling isn't playing M'Baka or something from Black Panther. Like, I don't, where are the limits of your advocacy?
All right.
So it's okay for one race, but not another.
Yeah, I think the whole point is they are dwarves in the movie and dwarf actors were deprived of playing them. That's not a DEI issue.
Yeah.
It's just an authenticity outrage. I want to end on something.
It just wasn't human dwarves.
I want to end on something.
Personally, I think when you're making a movie based on a classic story, on a original movie that has a massive fan base, you want to stay as close to the source material as possible to keep the fans happy. Because that's ultimately who you're doing it for, is the fans of these classic stories. When you purposely change the story, not because you want to have a different take on it, say the Romeo and Juliet movie with Leonardo DiCaprio that came out in the 90s, which was a completely different take on the story, but still accurate to the source material, but they went overboard with everything and it turned out to be a good movie. But in this case, they're purely changing the story just for the race swap, so they can have a non-white actress. That's just bad writing and low-hanging fruit. And also Gal Gadot, horrible choice for the evil queen. When you have a Disney movie, you want to have a Disney villain that's going to show some emotions, is going to be a little bit over the top. It's a Disney movie. Just make it accurate to the story. It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Don't overthink it. Hire dwarves. It's probably actually cheaper to hire the dwarves and their stunt doubles and whoever would be to give these people jobs than to do the CGI for them. Definitely a lot less complicated, I would guess. What's become of Hollywood is just nonsense. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that thumbs up button for your boy. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. Catch you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.